Good afternoon, all you wonderful people. And welcome once again to the official topic talk. Please subscribe, share, like, and hit the notification bell so each time I produce content, you'll get a notification. I will continue now with part 9 of the report of the independent inquiry, Telford Child Sexual Exploitation Report. So we got up to last time. The establishment of the inquiry. So, in the light of the government's decision not to establish a separate statutory inquiry into child sexual exploitation in Telford, combined with continuing public pressure and following a motion from local opposition members seeking the commissioning of a local inquiry, it was unanimously agreed at a council extraordinary general meeting on the 10th of April 2018 that an independent, non-statutory inquiry into child sexual exploitation should be established within the borough. During the cabinet meeting on the 19th of April 2018, the implications of this decision was further considered, including how the inquiry would be set up. At this meeting, the following was discussed: that an independent cross-party advisory body would be set up to consider how best to implement a process that ensured the inquiry was as independent as possible from the council. This group became known as the Child Sexual Exploitation Inquiry Members Advisory Group, or CSEI-MAG, and they proposed 4-stage process for commissioning the inquiry to ensure it remained independent from the council was also presented and discussed. This process proposed that the CSEI-MAG appoint an independent organisation to set up the inquiry and recruit a chairman. Subsequently described as the commissioning body, and the inquiry would then be led by the chair. So it was all pre-arranged so that it wasn't done by any bodies within the Telford area that could be biased in any way, shape, or form. So it was led and done independently. Around this time, a group of survivors, victims, and supporters, including those who had campaigned for the inquiry, created a group that became known as the Survivors Committee. The Survivors Committee was invited to contribute to the design of the tender documentation to engage a commissioning body for the inquiry, and was consulted during the tender process. Representatives from the Survivors Committee also sit as lay members of the council's CSEI-MAG. The CSEI-MAG then commenced with the commissioning process, the first stage being to appoint an independent commissioning body, followed by a competitive tender process. Eversheds, Sutherland, International LLP was formally appointed as the commissioning body on the 22nd of January 2019. 2 seconds, people. Sorry about that, people. So the CSEI MAG then commenced the commissioning process, the first stage being to appoint an independent commissioning body. Following a competitive tender process, Eversheds Sutherland International LLP was formally appointed as a commissioning body on the 22nd of Jan 2019. The first task for the commissioning body was to recruit and appoint an independent chair to lead the inquiry. I'm told that a draft recruitment pack for the role of the independent chair was prepared by the commissioning body and delivered to the CSEI MAG on 12th of February 2019 and the Council's Cabinet on the 14th of February 2019 for noting, comment and observations. At his meetings on 14th of February 2019, the Cabinet approved the recommendations from the commissioning body to start the recruitment process for the chair. Shortly following these meetings on 19th of February 2019, the role of chair was advised and open for 1 month. The recruitment process consisted of the following stages. An applicant sift with the most suitable candidates being invited for interview. First formal interview, the commissioning body carried out formal interviews, meeting with the local survivors committee, following which the survivors committee provided their feedback to the commissioning body and undertaking due diligence on the final candidates, including taking up references. On Friday, the 7th of June 2019, the commissioning body offered the role of chair to me. Of course, I accepted, with the appointment being formally announced on Monday, the 10th of June 2019. The terms of reference. Following my appointment, the first task for me and the commissioning body was to draft and agree the terms of reference. The terms of reference of an inquiry are critically important. They define the breadth and complexity of an inquiry work. The challenge is to ensure the right balance is struck between terms of reference that are too wide or unclear, which may lead to an inquiry delivering wide-ranging recommendations that do not address the essential issues, as well as increasing the cost and duration of an inquiry and creating unacceptable delay on terms of reference that are too narrow, thereby restricting an inquiry from dealing with all relevant matters and delivering results. The objective was to define terms of reference that provide answers to the key issues, but which are acceptable to deliver within an acceptable time frame. Early in 2019, the commissioning body began working with the Survivors Committee to start discussions in relation to the inquiry's terms of reference. Early engagement with the Survivors Committee was a priority. To help understand the main issues to be considered when designing the terms of reference, there was, however, a recognition that wider consultation on the terms of reference was important to ensure that all victims and survivors, stakeholders, and members of the public had an opportunity to comment on the scope of the inquiry's work and to ensure that the final terms of reference were informed by as many views as possible. On the 13th of June 2019, shortly after my appointment, a public consultation of the terms of reference was launched on the inquiry's website. The public consultation particularly invited the views of two who were directly affected by the matters due to be considered and those that were likely to be involved in some way with the inquiry's work, but the opportunity to provide input to the consultation process was open to all. The consultative invites all comments, but also posed 4 questions on a key issue. A copy of paper put out for consultation appears at Appendix A to this report. Yeah, no worries, bro. Um, Ronan, I do need a word with you later. Um, yeah, if you can call me when you're free, I'll have a quick chat with you. At the point of launching the consultation, the commissioning body contacted a number of key stakeholders, other contacts, including witnesses who had already contacted the inquiry, and local organisations to notify them of the consultation, invite them to contribute by providing their views and asking them to pass on the information to others who may be interested in their inquiry's work. The commissioning body also advised the public consultation in a number of ways, including placing an advertisement in the West Midlands Metro, which ran from Friday the 14th of June 2019 to Thursday the 20th of June 2019, and leaflets promoting the consultation were distributed in the area, including to GP surgery, leisure and fitness centres, libraries, Telford Ice Rink, Meeting Point House in Telford, the Holly Project at the YMCA in Wellington, Telford Aftercare Team in Wellington, Manning Place in Wellington, Recharge, the Job Centre Plus, and Manningsgate Police Station. The consultation also involved a public event which took place on Tuesday, the 2nd of July 2019, at the Ramada Hotel in Telford. The event attended by over 50 people. The consultation remained open until the 5th of July 2019. The consultation was open for just over 3 weeks. In the light of the calendar of cabinet meetings, I had to decide whether to conduct the consultation in time for the cabinet meeting in July, with a meeting of the CSEI MAG taking place just prior to this, or conduct a slightly longer consultation process and then have to wait until the cabinet meeting in the middle of September 2019 to have the final terms of reference approved. I took a decision with the commissioning body that although a thorough and effective consultation process should be undertaken, it was important that this happened quickly, so that the work for the inquiry in beginning to gathering evidence could start as soon as possible. Based on the number of detailed and well-considered responses submitted in response to the consultation, which contained repeated themes, I had no reason to think that a longer consultation period would have resulted in a significant increase in responses, with new issues being raised. All responses to the consultation were considered in full, and all the comments made at the public consultation event on the 2nd of July 2019 were taken into account when preparing the final terms of reference. The final draft terms reference were prepared and provided for members of the CSEI MAG to discuss and consider at a meeting on the 9th of July 2019. Comments on the terms of reference and suggested amendments were provided by the CSEI MAG and by a member of the local survivors committee, who was a lay member of the CSEI MAG. This included comments on the proposed time period that the inquiry would be considering, which was originally proposed as being from 1995 to the present day. 1995 being shortly before the establishment of the Telford and Wrekin as a unitary council, allowing any findings as to handover and organisational memory from Shropshire County Council to be considered and taken into account. Representations were, however, made that the inquiry's terms of reference should go back further, to the passing of the Children's Act in 1989, which was supported by members of the CSEI MAG. The commissioning body and I considered those comments and agreed to reflect those changes in the final terms of reference. The final terms of reference governing this inquiry was ratified by the Council's Cabinet on the 11th of July 2019 and were published on the inquiry's website on the 12th of July 2019. A copy of the terms of reference appear at Appendix B. In order to provide guidance as to the interpretation of the inquiry's terms of reference and give an indication of the issues that I would be examining during my work, a list of issues was also prepared and was published on the 3rd of October 2019. The list of issues was not designed to cover all issues that would be investigated. It was not a prescriptive list, but it was intended to be a guide to assist understanding and an indication of how the terms of reference were being interpreted. A copy of the list of issues appears at Appendix C. Timescales. At the outset of the inquiry's work, I had a limited understanding as to how many witnesses might have relevant evidence to provide, and how many would be willing to engage, as well as the number of relevant document stakeholders would hold. As a result, the scale of the work that faced me was unclear and therefore designed as an inquiry process with a fixed timetable was something of a challenge. It was therefore essential for this inquiry to have a degree of flexibility. I was, however, aware that victims and survivors had been waiting a long time for this inquiry and that any recommendations I make should be put in place as soon as possible if they were to achieve a positive outcome. It has therefore been a constant balance between delivering this inquiry quickly but ensuring it is thorough and delivers sound recommendations. In order to ensure that the inquiry's work stayed on track, there was a number of factors I felt were important. Ensuring that documents were provided by stakeholders in a timely and thorough manner, whilst allowing those organisations a reasonable amount of time to seek out, in some cases, very historic material. Considering the parameters of disclosure requests made to stakeholders, in a timely and thorough manner, whilst allowing those organisations a responsible amount of time to seek out, in some cases, considering the parameters of disclosure requests made to stakeholders, organisations, to ensure that such requests were necessary, proportionate, and relevant to the terms of reference, and therefore to avoid time being spent on irrelevant or duplicate material. Providing a process whereby documents could be disclosed in a secure and organised way. Allowing and indeed encouraging witnesses coming forward to speak to the inquiry and provide evidence in circumstances where the inquiry has no power to compel witnesses to provide evidence. Giving victims and survivors sufficient time to think about this inquiry and whether they wish to come forward and tell their story. Recognising that many find such a decision incredibly hard, and working proactively with key stakeholders to ensure continuing engagement and cooperation, again, where I have no powers to compel them to do so. While I initially hoped to conclude this inquiry with a timescale of approximately 21 months, there have been delays. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the COVID-19 health pandemic has had a particular impact. Within the inquiry's work stating in earnest following the ratification of its terms of reference in July 2019, just 9 months later, the COVID-19 public health crisis had sufficiently developed and was having a huge impact on the nation. As a result, the inquiry had to adapt the way it was working to ensure that the inquiry's work continued as far as possible during the pandemic. This included adapting its working arrangements with the team and I, all working remotely, although we remained contactable on the inquiry's usually email, telephone details. All witness evidence being taken via secure video or telephone conferencing if the witness agreed to process on this basis, and delaying the taking of face-to-face meetings where witnesses only wanted to provide their evidence in this way. Inevitably, there was also some interruption to the process being made in gathering relevant evidence, with the pandemic impacting many of those stakeholders who were providing documentation, information, and evidence to the inquiry. A number of the stakeholders have been on the front line of the emergency response to the pandemic. In particular, this impact has been felt in the following ways. The practicality of access to hard copy material was a challenge for all stakeholders due to restrictions around access to premises, including the requirements for premises to be COVID secure, which, amongst other things, resulted in a limit on attendances. Unsurprisingly, evening grass is nonsense exposed. Hope you're doing well, mate. Hope you're having a good afternoon. Let's put the link out in case anybody wants to jump on. As a number of stakeholders have been extremely busy in their primary roles, time which might have been spent organising the disclosures of documents to the inquiry was understandably diverted to supporting the community and prioritising those most in need. As a result, the disclosure process has taken longer than otherwise might have been the case. I have taken account of the fact that this will have been a difficult period for some stakeholders and their staff, and therefore, where it was felt appropriate, I have allowed a number of extensions to deadlines for documents and information to be provided. In some cases, I have allowed significantly longer than would normally be the case. Just having a read through still on the inquiry report from the Telford sexual exploitation inquiry. I will go into a free panel. I will go into a.
Hello there.
How you doing?
Not too bad. How you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Just thought I'd spend a bit of time just going through the report. I've got probably about another 20 parts to go through yet, and that's only on the first part. And then there's like three other sections, which is like 2,000 pages long. So it's going to take me about 6 months to get through it all, I think. But what have you been up to? Anything? Nothing?
Just same old. Different day, same day, different story.
What do you make? What do you make of this fucking Decker's lives? And
I haven't been watching his lives because if his live came on, it came on when I was asleep. So and then I heard he deleted it afterwards.
Yeah, he made a big. He made a big boo boo. He did. He one of the panelists that was on permanent was a panelist called Tina.
Oh, right.
But he made a boo boo and called her Leslie. So this Tina was defending him like really fucking badly, and it was supposed to be made out to be, like an innocent person, but as it turns out, Tina was actually Leslie Rind. The one that's opened up the GoFundMe for him.
I think to stick up for Decker, you'd have to be very, very vulnerable or very well paid.
Yeah, he basically set up all the lives. He set up all the lives he did, just to make it look good for him. But all the guests he was having on were handpicked I was sat backstage for 20 minutes on each night. Wouldn't let me on. Wouldn't let Umble on. Wouldn't let quite a few of us on. He was just handpicking it, and it was
I'll be
just
quite happy to speak to him on a live. I want to go through that 55 page one by one and say, explain, yes, no, no comment. Move on to the next one. Give his side of the story out there. He won't do it. I'm not going to make
no.
no money out of it. I'm not going to ask for a copy. I'm not monetized. Just for public information.
Mm. I
But
mean,
you know,
everything he does is surrounded by controversy and fraud. He can't do anything straight, can he?
it's the easiest thing to do. It's not the easiest thing to do. This stuff could have been dealt with a lot easier in so many different ways. One, if he's guilty, which he looks like he is, it could have been dealt with another way. If he's innocent, he could have proved it within like less than 6 months easily. It wouldn't like 3 years to prove your innocence and still holding back on key information, allowing your family to be traumatized and stuff like that. And you know, it's he failed to produce. He failed to prove to me he was innocent. I gave him. You couldn't give him any more chances than what I gave him. I mean, if you look back, like you know, when I was defending him, not defending him, I was looking at it from the other side, from the side that okay, we'll go with your story, we'll go with you being trolled, we'll go with the fact that you know what you're saying is true. And
I
then
mean,
you
you
just
were probably one of the last and only standing people that were willing, to give him that chance. And it would have taken 2 hours, to go through page of the 55-page acro, like you say, and it could have been dealt with within 2 hours.
well, when I when this when I just had enough because when I turn on people, I turn because I've given them so many chances. And he emailed me saying, I can't understand why you turned on me. It's bloody Dave, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, listen, forget all that shit. Get your ACRO, your subject access request, not the police certificate that you already got. Subject access request. If you're innocent, we'll go through it one by one. We'll go through the accusations. We'll see who made them and see where you were at the time. We'll see if we can dismiss them. If you can prove to me you're innocent, that's all you need to do is prove it to me, not to the YouTube, just to me. Then I'll stick by it. If I know that there's an innocent person being non-stop, I will stick by them to the end. But you can't prove it to me, then he changed the goalpost. Like, oh, I'm not putting my life on YouTube for everyone to see. You already put your life on YouTube. He even virtually put his address on YouTube the other day talking about me. Oh dear. But he'll put his life on YouTube. It suits him. Oh, it's spinning. I just keep talking about it. To be honest, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's so. Apart from that, what's been happening in your world? Anything
YouTube
new?
or outside YouTube?
Yeah, outside YouTube.
My car got nicked. I had a GPS tracker in the car, so I've had to fly across the country to retrieve it. Taking about 48 hours or more.
So whereabouts is it you're actually at? Where do you stay?
Uh,
Is it outside the UK?
oh yeah, Thailand. Yeah. I don't want to tell you because I don't want to lie to you.
Yeah, no, that's enough. I just wanted to know the country.
Yeah, I'm in Thailand, but I've got no fixed address. I'm just moving around. I've got a place where I prefer to. Well, I do have a fixed area that I stay, but I'm moving around constantly.
So what sort of stuff do you do like outside YouTube? Being over there in Thailand, I mean, it's a different world to over here, isn't it?
Well, that's the only thing I've known for 20 years. And I mean, for me, England now is like a foreign country. I would go if I went back. I wouldn't even have to use public transport. I'm not on the run. If I was, I wouldn't be on bloody YouTube. That's for sure. And like it was alleged before, so I can come back to England anytime I want. So all that superficial stuff that was put up about me before simply is not true.
What made you move over there? Was it just it's cheaper living over there?
It was when I first came here. Bloody hell, I got 70 baht for £1. Now you get 43 now. So like, if you're sending £100,000 out here, then you were sending 7 million baht out. Now you're sending £100,000 to get 4.3 million. So when you look at it on that scale, like back then, you got a lot for your pound. Still, I guess it's still cheaper because I do everything in Thai baht now. I don't do it in pounds. But
And I mean, what's the houses like over there compared to over here? I've always wondered that in Thailand.
The thing is with England is that there's a lot of people compact into a small country. So all the houses, a bit like Hong Kong, but like a little bit bigger than Hong Kong. Hong Kong's a small island, but packed full of people. They just built massive skyscrapers just to store people in small little box rooms. And they're very expensive. England's similar, but on not the same scale. And Thailand's a lot open. Like there's a lot more land here. You could probably get 3 or 4 land masses the size of England in Thailand. So there's more space, which means more land, which means you get more for your money when you buy stuff if you do it the right way. Obviously, different postcodes, different areas, and different prices like all over the world. But generally speaking, you get a lot more. I mean, a lot of people used to at the time before the house market crashed, people were remortgaging their house in England and buying a second house out here. Of course, when the house market crashed, everything crashed. People couldn't get a mortgage on their houses. They couldn't buy a house out here. Some people put deposits down on houses and they couldn't come. Then the bank refused the loans and then they lost their deposits as well.
And what's work like out there? I mean, obviously you need to work to live over there. Supposedly, they ain't got no benefit system out there, have they?
They got a work permit system, but it's very strict, like with foreigners working over here. That's why a lot of foreigners don't really like to talk about what they work in Thailand because, I mean, the rules over here they're not very clear, and they can be used for you or against you. For example, you could have a work permit to be an electrician, which means you think you're a legal electrician. But if immigration want you, the rules are built to get you if they want you. So, okay, the immigration turn up, they catch you working outside, doing a sparky job, whatever, doing an electrician job. And then you show your work permit and say, no, that's not for this address, it's for the address there. Then you have to pay the fine or you have to, or worse. I think how many times you've been caught out. Well, I think the work situation is changing. They're trying to modify the rules all the time. They do get can be interpreted very many different ways. If you move out here, it's definitely you're only as good as the people around you. Yeah. You've got good people around you. They give you good advice. If you give you bad advice, you can be led down a very bad area with bad people, and you end up taking a lot getting into it. The horror stories you hear from out here. How many people have gotten with the wrong people, give them wrong information, and then they end up in big trouble.
Because there ain't really a police force out there, is there?
Sorry, what's that?
There's no real police force out there as such.
No, there is, and they're getting sharp. They're getting very sharp. Not what they used to be, but it's not just the Thais that are scamming people. It's a lot of foreigners as well, man, and a lot of like foreigners that you wouldn't expect to do it. Like rich businessmen, you think you can trust them because they're from your own country. Speak with maybe a posh voice, try to get you to invest in something. Some people do. It all goes belly up. There's a lot of that around here. Problem is with civil cases, they can take up to 7 years to clear in the court system, and the people that are putting these fast ones, they already know the law.
Bloody hell! So, what about food-wise? Can you get English food out there?
Yeah, you can get pretty much everything you get in England. I normally eat Thai food because it's a lot more healthier. But you can get you get shepherd's pie, roast dinners, just about anything, depending on the area you're in. But when I first came here, like rural places like Ishan and stuff like that, you hardly got any foreigners over there. But now it's just the place is just covered with foreigners everywhere, man. It's not as poor as it used to be, for sure.
I mean, you've got to have some money. I've always thought you need money behind you.
Your sound's gone. Hello? Your sound's gone.
Yeah, my mic's been playing up
come
the
back.
past couple of
Yeah,
days. Back on now. Mic's been playing up a bit over the past couple of days. I think I need to buy a new one.
I should get hold of them, Mike.
Fucking
I should get
crap.
one of those.
These cheap ones are absolute fucking crap.
It's more expensive than mine. I'm just using a laptop.
I was using the laptop mic, but then that started being like fuzzy, so I went out and got a cheap USB mic, and I think going by the cheap version, this crap has only lasted me a couple of months. So after Christmas, I might get myself a little podcast set up, mic and a sound card, whatever it is. You can do voice changing and stuff on. So just to have a bit of a laugh.
What's so what sort of stuff is your channel about? Like it's basically pretty similar, a bit more of a better version of mine, really.
Basically, I started basing it on the grooming gangs in Telford.
Right.
Bringing awareness about who they are, where they are, the behaviours. Fucking hell.
My missus, she screams when she's excited, and when she screams, she's about to stab me as well. I'm not sure how to check which one that one is. I'll find out later.
Sounds like she's going to stab you. That one.
Nah, no, that was a happy scream. Funny enough.
Fucking hell. Yeah, basically, I was basing it on the grooming gangs in Telford. And then I was finding it was getting a bit mind-boggling, because it's not everybody's cup of tea.
No, it's not.
And it's a very dark subject, and living probably 15, 20 minutes down the road from the perpetrators that I've been speaking about, goes without its. I've been approached. I don't care less. At the end of the day, they wouldn't have created these crimes, and I wouldn't be sat here speaking about them.
Something like this, you really need some backup, and I don't mean like physical backup. I mean like kind of like official backup, because this is very, very dangerous. These people come from all walks of society, and they'll try and turn the tables like you're the one that's the wrong one, not them. They'll, you don't forget you're exposing the darkest people, the darkest secrets. And they'll do anything to.
So far there's 5 people, that have attempted, and unfortunately, them 5 people had to move out of Telford, because of the threats on their family and, the rest of it. But I've got an understanding within the community around here, I know and have friends from the Pakistani community and the Indian community, and they understand what I'm doing. I'm doing it for the right reasons. Those that are involved don't like me. There's not much they can do about it because of the support that I've got from within their own community.
It goes a long way.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be sat here. They would have run me out of Telford.
Well, the thing is,
my family, but
I believe that one way that they would attack you is I don't think they want to kill you. I think they want to destroy your reputation, because obviously if you're dead, you make more noise. Like, why do you go missing all of a sudden? Destroying your reputation, that will probably benefit these people more. And so that's the thing you really got to be careful of. That can destroy your reputation, everything, your family, everything.
So from that, I decided, I wanted to have experience of interviewing people. So I had myself a couple of good guests on. I've had Brian Cottrell on. I've had his wife on. I've had Alex Kearney on, AC coming back to life. I've had Telford's first ever pro BKB fighter on. I've had Tony Meehan on. So I've had experience under my belt for doing actual podcasts and interviews with people. Then I was touching a bit on other sort of groomings on the support side of what's out there and what's available, to people that don't necessarily want to go to the police. I've been airing the organisations, that are out there to support them, their families, to get them through the darker times in their life, through the suffering of child sexual exploitation. And I've chucked a little bit of, I did say I was going to stay away from drama, and stuff like that. I know I've touched on one or two parts, but it's not like I'm with the full pack of wolves, out to destroy Decker. I choose what issues or points that I want to put on as awareness on my channel. I've recently re-uploaded the Dot story, which is a survivor of Deckers, again, to keep the awareness to the forefront. And, that's basically what me channel is going to be surrounded by. I do want to go out and do an audit. Like when these guys go around like factories and stuff like that, I want to at least do at least one audit, before the end of next year.
Is this your job, or is it something you do on a spare in your?
No, I'll just do this in my spare time. That what little spare time I've had lately, because obviously I've got an ill wife. So she's my first and foremost in life. To take care of, and I'll just use YouTube as to get away from some of life's stuff that can get you down sometimes. So yeah, it's just a hobby basically. I'm not looking. I'm at a level where I can monetize. I've got everything I need to monetize. It's just a case I just don't want to.
I mean, like you're not just the YouTube, but like the exploiting the exploiting the out in the grooming gangs. Is that your kind of job outside?
No, it's not. It's not a job at all. It's just something that I've chose to do, because I got dragged into it as a side that my sister was given evidence in court on behalf of a witness against them, and they decided to pay me a visit as such to intimidate me. Basically, they came to approach me to intimidate me as a group, to tell my sister not to go to court. In which I told them basically to F off. You're not upsetting and intimidating or threatening my family, my sister, the victim, or anybody else within the case. They've done their homework. They know where I live. They know who I am. They know all of this information. But yet there was nothing they could do. My sister went to court, give the evidence she needed to give on behalf of the victim, who's now a survivor. And all 5 of them ended up in jail, doing between 8 and 9 years apiece. And that's how I got dragged into it. So I thought a couple of months later, like, why don't I just air these fuckers and, make the world know exactly, who these guys are and where they stay and what they get up to and how it happens, and, whatever information I can gather, I'm seeking to put it out there, to keep the awareness at the forefront, not just to help people in Telford, but also, in other areas.
Funny how life is like that. Sometimes you don't pick what you want to do. What you want to do sort of picks you. Like circumstances sort of shape your life. Even this YouTube wasn't for Scotty G, I wouldn't be here now. I wouldn't even know this part of YouTube existed. Crazy.
I mean, I've been itching to go along with a paedophile hunting group on the Sting. Just for the experience.
You could put a team together.
I don't know if I could keep my composure.
The problem is finding a good decoy. The hardest bit for the decoy, because they'd have to sit there and draw these people in and be convincing. I think that'd be a pretty hard job to do. Like the decoy girl or boy, they have to pretend that they're falling for it. Obviously, they would be older than that age, but they have to sort of make it look like that they're not. and make it look like that they're willing to groom a 13 or 14-year-old. That must be so taxing on the decoy, man.
I couldn't do anything like that. You know, it'll kill my brain. It'll kill my brain. It'll kill my mind, and you know, I'd never come back from it.
I could probably do the approach like that would be like gotcha. But the bit behind the scenes that you don't see where they're exchanging messages, that will be pretty difficult, man. I know they'll all be in a room and they'll be telling the person what to say, but still, it's you know, some have to give their picture away to make it believable. You couldn't draw in a you couldn't fish for these people without showing a face, you know, and have them having a face on stuff like that. Well, otherwise they're just not going to fall for it. It's that simple. Somebody's.
I mean, I personally couldn't do that. I mean, that would fuck my brain up. That would, and but to actually go along on the sting, you know, when they're actually grabbing the person, that's the part that I want to be.
Yeah, that's the bit I'd like to be at. But I can't imagine what it'd be like for the decoy. Have to be very, very brave, because if it was a woman, for example, they would have to show their face to the predator, and they'd have to, showing their face is already their personal details. Then they have to try and, oh mate, that's oof. The thing that they'd be doing.
So I think the way they do that is that they find people, females, that are willing to give up their photos of them when they were like 13 or 14. Wow. So they're actually using somebody else's photo with their permission, and that's the photo that they upload onto these sites. You know, to initially talk to the predators. I think that's how the photographic situation works with them.
I want a FaceTime call. Well,
I mean, they've got technology as well that can recreate an online image of an actual human being, of a child behind a webcam, and that's if they needed to do a webcam talk so the perpetrator knew it was a child. They've got a computer generated image that they put onto the webcam prior, because if they needed to go webcam live, they've got that digital image that acts like a human being child. You know, and that's how they get around that sort of stuff, which is quite technical, but
it's quite technical. When you look at like movies and stuff like that, I mean, they can make old people look young, like actors and actresses look young, as the opposite way round. I mean, look at the film The Irishman. Like I think they filmed like, was it Joe Pesci as a young man right up to an old man. Probably easier filming him as an old man, but you know, that's just you know, so like, you know, it's not impossible to, you know, especially through a video, you know, to you know, put a wig on and stuff like that, and you know, makeup and stuff. But that would take a lot of creativity. You really have to know what you're doing.
That's why a lot of work and a lot of effort goes into each and every catch that they get. You know, and I take me out off to these guys that do it, because I personally couldn't go through that first stage process of the initial contact with predators, and you can imagine the things that they're going to be typing across to you. And I mean, I could never do that in a million years. It fuck my brain up. It would.
Well, you know, you've seen the videos of, you know, Decker knocking one out a few times. I couldn't even look at it. You know, it was sent to me by Mr. X and Mrs. X. And I looked at it, I had to look away, man. That's disgusting.
I've had a go at everyone who sent me stuff like that. I've had a major fucking go at them, because, you know, I don't want to know this crap. You know, don't send me this shit to my fucking, you know, whatever. I'm not interested. I don't want to know, you know. And I've actually gone to town with somebody, and I didn't regret it afterwards, you know, because that's how I feel. You know, I don't want this shitty rating.
I don't want to say his name on your channel. A certain person was saying, message me on Instagram and I'll send you the video. So it could be anybody, and they could use that video, and you don't know who they're going to send it to them. The screenshot is enough, you know, with a bit censored out. You know, to send the whole video to a completely unknown person just because they requested it. In my view, that's very, very irresponsible.
Mm. You know,
It's
I'd rather
just
just
stupid
somebody
as well.
say, you know, I'd rather just somebody say to me, you know, they've received this, or, you know, there's this floating around, you know, don't send it me. I'm not fucking interested, you know. I don't want that shit around my fucking life, you know, because I'm simply not into that. But yeah, enough for people to describe. There's a video floating around on the internet. That's enough for me, you know. The people that, you know, have had a bollocking off me, they know who they are, and, you know, that's just how I run my life. Sorry, you know, don't hate upon the people, you know, for you know, wanting to send it round, but you know, that ain't part of
No,
my work. That's not part of me. You know, it's
irresponsible. If you're going to send it to someone, then at least make sure you know who you're sending it to, and make sure that they want to request it. You can't
mm,
just send it out online to anybody you don't know. It's just madness. It's either stupidity or irresponsibility. Yeah.
madness. But I mean, come on, you know, Decker, he can square his life away in 2 hours, right? All he needs
It's
to
like
do is
having straight
admit.
away as well.
All he needs to admit is the 55 page acro is real. He's claiming now that he's speaking about
Probably
openly
more
about
now.
having NFAs for grape, you know. So, you know, what's 2 hours on a conversation with someone?
I
Admit
believe
that the
that Acro
55
isn't
page
real.
acro is true.
You know why? I think it's
Uh,
bigger now.
Probably about 57 pages now. I mean, but all he's got to do is admit it's real and it's not fake, and he can move on with his life.
Well, I don't know. At the end of the day, I've got my own opinions about how he should be dealt with, but it's not for YouTube. I don't know. Decker's gone. I'd rather talk about. So I'd rather move on to the next person. When they're taking his channel now, he take anybody that backs him now. I mean, there's. I thought what you did was very, very good. I have to applaud you for that. With that thing with Paddy Conroy, that was perfect. That's
See,
exactly
that's
what I like to do with Decker. Just a small official piece of paper saying the key words that we'll want to know, and that's it. In the story.
yeah. I mean,
Doesn't even be
that
difficult.
closes the chapter there between
It
who's
is.
telling the truth and who's a grass. And you know, I've got to go with cooking. I've got to go with Mister Rafe now. You know, which I always did anyway. You know, but I just needed that definitive little piece of documentation, like you said. You know, and that secures, you know, the conviction for my liking.
I think this thing with Decker, the problem is that because he's only been convicted. Okay, it was a sexual offence, which by other criminals that's considered like something to be worth on the numbers for. But to the average person, he can blag it that it was just a slap on the arse. But obviously, we know that wasn't. But there's nothing official saying sex offender. NFAs, he's been very good at swerving, ducking, diving. And without that piece of paper, like you put up there for Paddy, he would always be able to attract people into his life because he's not he's never been convicted. And when you can't yangle, people can't come out there and say hello. An average person is not going to go and search through YouTube and search through 55-page documents and this and that when you just wouldn't think about that. Not when I meet someone in the pub down the road or whatever. I don't think, oh, I'm going to type his name into YouTube and request his acro and this and that and go through Karma Corner's videos. Yeah, Karma Corner's videos are as clear as day, but you'd have to watch them. And we're talking about one person here.
Mm.
And on YouTube, yeah, he's been exposed. Outside YouTube, this is only a small, population of the world. I mean, you consider what's the population of England? Is it 14 million or something? They probably never
About,
even heard of Nick already.
mm.
I mean, he's
I mean,
supposed to be.
that's all we need, like I say, against Decker. Just that one little piece like that. It'll be a godsend, you know, if I or someone can lay their hands on that documentation, yeah, and it's game over for him as well. it's going to happen one of the days, you know.
At some point, somebody's going to put a case in against them. You won't be able to walk away from. Hopefully, this circle of YouTube could secure a proper conviction in the future.
Well, I'm too open, to be fair with you, that all the survivors that have been at the hands of Daka, including Dot and the other one, Geraldine, and you know the others there can get to the police, you know, and get a proper case going against him. You know, that'll be widely accepted, and they'll have so much support behind them. It'll be unreal. You know, so any of the survivors out there, get your case directly first and foremost to the police. You know, not YouTube or anywhere else. You know,
need a good lawyer, I reckon, first. Talk to the police in the right way, in the language that the police understand, and get because how the police are approached can really make a big difference as to what happens afterwards. They make one little mistake and that's it. The whole case is fucked. It really has to be from the beginning, especially with something as sensitive as this, and we're going like historical stuff. All the T's have to be crossed, all the I's have to be crossed. Sorry, dotted. And so I just made a mistake there. You don't do that on a legal thing, a legal document. That's the whole document could be thrown in the bin, like not worth anything. I know because I had a contract. Oh, some money just right in my account. I made a contract for something, and the wording was wrong, and it made it invalid. That was on something that was just on a lease agreement, let alone something like for something as serious as this.
Unfortunately, he's going to make that mistake, and the day will come. Undoubtedly, he's never going to change his spots, and if it just takes one more mistake from his behalf, somebody could well have him in jail. It's as simple as that. It's just a case of playing the waiting game, considering he's not going to be honest and open and own up to the 55-page acro.
I just want to know one thing about Decker. One thing. Because what he did was considered a sex crime. Is he now a registered sex offender currently?
As far as I know, yes. Because of the incident in the nightclub.
Right.
Because of that incident in the nightclub, he would have had to register as a sex offender, even though he claims it's a slap on the arse. But we all know, there was more to it. He would have had to have registered as a sex offender during a period of time back then, as far as I know, to be true.
Well, if I'm feeling brave, I'll go back to England. I'll try and do a social experiment. I'll get my missus. I'll get a woman, a decoy. I'll slap her on the arse. I'll get her to report it to the police, and then I'll see what happens. See if I get arrested and convicted and stuff like that. Hopefully, by the time that far, to come out and say, no, it was just a social experiment. I've got a lot of money, but I wouldn't even be put into an interview room without it.
Yeah, and then your name will be strapped as a fucking sex offender. Then you don't want to go down.
No, I don't reckon it would happen. That's the reason why I reckon it was. I would like to try it. It's like a dream. Like I don't really think I would actually go through with doing it. But in theory, I can't imagine me even getting into a police interview room without it. Smacking a bird's arse in a nightclub. Nah, I can't imagine it.
A couple of golden handshakes around the place, and you can get what you like.
Well, don't get me wrong. I'll probably be told off. I'll probably be looked down upon. But I remember going to nightclubs when I was younger, and birds' arses were getting slapped left, right, and centre. Man. Okay, yeah, he was a bouncer, and he had that bit more responsibility. But fucking bouncers were the worst. Remember, they were a fucking nightmare, man. Yep. Bouncers were always, touching all the birds and stuff like that. I can't imagine them all getting done with sex offences. There wouldn't be any bouncers there. Nah, fuck that, man. That was nah. Well, we know it's to to get that, or to be convicted, be convicted. As we know, we've seen all the NFAs on there, and he's got away with a lot of things. So if it was a slap in the arse, it wouldn't have been the hardest thing in the world to get that NFA, considering what he has been NFA for. You know,
I would like to try and get an interview with some of the bouncers that were on the door that night, that had to drag him out the toilet. I mean, that's where, you know, the better information will come from. You know, so you know that might happen in the pipeline.
He must have been an absolute maniac, you know, to go to that extent. And obviously, I think the coke. I don't think it made him more horny. I just think it made him more open, more out of control.
Mm.
I think that everybody saw it. He lost control. He couldn't do it in a seedy way. He did it all open, broke into the toilets, where she called the police, dragged out in handcuffs, shouting, "I'm gonna fucking get you for this." I'm just imagining it now. People holding him back. His hormones, his testosterone, his veins popping out of his body. He must have. He doesn't like. He's not a man that likes being told no.
But just think how scared that female would have been, considering the size of him, you know, and the power that he had over that female. You know, I can only but imagine. You know, she must have been petrified. You know, a big stomping guy like him bursting into the toilet and.
Well, the bouncer in there is supposed to be to protect people from people like that. If the person that's supposed to be protecting the people from that stuff is the person which is doing it, then yeah, she must have been really, stuck.
I mean, to have to run in the cubicle, lock the door, and scream at the top of her voice, and the bouncers to have to drag him out. I mean, that says it all for me.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, because obviously to close a toilet cubicle, he could have easily kicked that open. But then I was wondering whether she shut the actual toilet door, right? So they couldn't get in the door, and that's where the CCTV. Because he said there was CCTV. I was like, when the time when I was looking at it from his point of view, I was like, you don't get CCTV in the toilet. It's outside the toilet. So what I'm thinking now is literally lock the toilet door. Not the cubicle, the actual toilet door, and he was trying to break the actual main toilet door down. That's what I can imagine. Or maybe it was
I read it in the paper where a woman's been done for it, for slapping a guy on the arse, and he got her put in court, and she had the same sort of outcome as what Daka had on his record, as opposed to just slapping her arse. But that was only one of the incidents, and he's blagged that. And then there was the one that really worries me more is the one about the, was it the 12-year-old?
Yeah, I think 14.
Was it 12-year-old or something like that on the record?
I don't know, but I remember just saying it was double figures. I can't remember exactly.
I think it was about 12, I think.
Something contact.
Non-penetrative, which means it's inciting. Basically, that could be as much as. So that could be as much as either inciting, egging her on to touch his private parts. That could be in relation to that. Where it's non-penetrative, it means that obviously, he didn't do anything to her, but he was inciting her, like egging the person on. Oh, come on,
Yeah, I'll just start to
look at the young girl on. Basically,
I've got a child,
what the incitement is.
I've got a child, and to think that my child will be probably about a similar age to that, and to have a man that size. I don't even like talking about sexual related things in front of my child. Let alone to have anything like that, go on. Oh, fuck me. Oh, no.
And the same as always.
I think about that.
Carpet, and he says that the mum says that the child was lying and all of that. Well, nobody's seen the proof or evidence from the lips of that mum, of that child, to clarify this, what he keeps stating. And he always tries to brush everything under the carpet.
You got these threats as well. We don't know how much of because of coercive behaviour. We don't know, what's going on behind the scenes. I mean, even if she did say, yeah, he lied, did he? What else? What did he say to her before that? Did he threaten to burn her house down? Did he smash up her car? You know, did he put the frighteners on her? So you better say this, you better say that, because that's what it looks like it happened. It looks like while these NFAs happened, he was also charged with smashing people's places up, threatening to burn people's houses down. So you know, it looks like like it's like a parallel. You got NFA, and then he's been charged with something else, like threats to kill, racism, smashing up a place, burn up a place. So, like when there's an NFA, there's a threat. Then there's an NFA, then there's a threat. Then I don't know. I'll have to look at it again, but that's what it seems like. I'm gonna have to go now anyway. I've got to get some shut eye now. School night.
Yeah, no worries. Cheers for coming on. Anyway, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, nice one. Thanks, one.
No, you take it easy.
Cheers.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So that was Grass's nonsense exposed. Sounds like a good lad. And he was the last one that was remaining to, kind of help Decker get himself out of this situation. And all he had to do was provide evidence to that guy there, and produced enough for him to understand, whether he's guilty or innocent. And, Decker's problem could have been resolved. Right, let's get reading on with a little bit more. For the same reason, there was more of a delay in seeking stakeholders, witnesses than originally planned. In addition to the impact of COVID-19 on the inquiry's timescale, the sheer volume of material received is far greater than I had originally anticipated. In total, the inquiry had received over 198,000 documents, 1,285,000 pages of disclosure from organisations. This takes time to sift and distill, and it was crucial that the documents be considered and any follow-up be made as necessary. Well, I'm going to put that. I'll continue with that report tomorrow. But if anybody wants to jump on, they're more than welcome to jump on for a little bit. No problem. The link's out there in the chat. If anybody wants to jump on for 5 minutes. Just having a chilled Tuesday late afternoon. Seem to be peeing it down outside again. No doubt I'll be having problems with my internet later on. My internet's been playing up the past couple of hours. See if I can put let's see what I've got that I can play for 5 minutes. Do. Just seeing what I can play that can be. I was going to put up the prison tour that I've done. see a bit of play. Well, welcome again to the official topic talk, and we are now outside the Dana prison. Now let's start our journey. Prison centre. This is when I went on the tour of the of the prison, HMP Dewsbury, HMP the Dana. I've come for the self-guided tour.
Is it for 2 o'clock?
Yeah.
And the name, please?
Steve Clark and Jackie Clark.
Yeah, 1 and 2, and you're both signed in. So just grab a map from the wall over there. It will point at the restaurant and toilets, and that information board's around for you to read. Just go through the doorway to your left and out the far exit. It takes you straight to the front courtyard, and that's where you'll be starting your journey.
All right, brilliant. Cheers, thank you. Wait, down here. Right. Is it down here? Out here to the courtyard? Is it down here? Ah, yeah. Prison reception. This is where the truck used to come in, I think. And used to come in here and drive round. Prison reception. Arrows pointing. Right, sorry about this, guys. We're now live at the Dana prison for our guided tour. Oh yeah, are we in the wrong place? I've just come through. I don't know if I'm supposed to be here or not.
You can come in here. It's no problem.
I mean, we haven't got our guided, you know, the leaflets and that.
Oh,
I'm not sure where I'll get them
you're
from.
looking for a reception.
I've gone to the wrong place.
No way. Ah, yes. Well, this is prison reception, which is called such because it's where the prisoners would have been.
Well, I was here in the 80s, in the late 80s. I've done 3 stretches in this place.
Awesome.
So inside, I know it like the back of my hand.
The visitor's guide is through this way.
Because we're on the the self-guided one.
Yeah.
Back in here.
So, did you get your the maps from in here?
No, that's what I needed. That's what I need to get in the maps. Back in here. Oh.
So, maps
Oh,
are from the
cheers.
wall here. No problem.
Where do we go? Left here.
So, yeah, if you go right through there, you'll find C wing.
That's the nonces wing, weren't it? It used to be the old nonces wing and the women.
Yeah.
So I was on A wing.
Yeah, you'll get to the A wing if you go through the court.
A321. Right, I was in that cell on 3 separate occasions. From 86 I was in, 87 I was back in, and 88 I was back in, and each time I was in A321.
That's some strange luck.
So
Enjoy your stay.
cheers. And then the old prison shirts, the old blue and white stripes. Not too sure what year these ones were from, but that was your traditional.
Please like, share and subscribe.
Audio Jungle.
Steve, so I was in a bit of a situation. I know you wanted to hear this scenario that I was in this year in regards to certain predator hunters. We'll call them predator hunters because it's better.
And because of this being a Victorian prison, this looks like your old style Screws uniform. Deportation notices and pardon letters. These look like very, very old pardon letters. Now, confiscated handmade weapons and drugs para. Look at some of them weapons. Confiscated from prisoners that have been doing their sentences at the Dana. And here we have now some prisoner paintings. Prisoner paintings, Governor Jerry Hendry, and characters from TV Porridge. And here we have one of the old t-shirts, and you can see what I was saying about Dean about them being the baggy ones. You have to fight over the coloured ones, so they used to do coloured ones that were better suited. And here you have the prison issue t-shirts. Notice how baggy they were. Back in the late 80s, prisoners used to fight over getting the better coloured t-shirts because obviously they had a better fit. This desk is old. Made by an inmate as a copy of his cell. The view is the same as if looking into the cell, which there you go. It's made out of wood, and that's basically what your cell door used to look like. If I can get in there. There you go, people. You can see the bed there, the light. There's your little desk and your little window. That's ace. High voltage distribution keys duplicate set. So that reincarnates the lock that used to be on the cell doors. Once again, people, here's a model that prisoner had made. There we go, better clear picture.